You might have noticed it already, that subtle sense that something in your life is shifting. The routines, the people, even the way you interact with the world, all feel different, almost as if an unseen force is quietly rearranging the pieces of your life. It's not something you can easily pinpoint, but deep down you know something is changing. You're not the same person you were just a short while ago, and you can't go back to how things used to be. This is the beginning of your spiritual awakening, a process that is both beautiful and unsettling. As you move forward, you'll start to see through the patterns that used to define your life, noticing things that no longer resonate with who you're becoming, and with this shift comes a transformation, one that is guiding you toward a deeper, more authentic version of yourself. Today, we'll explore the 6 things highly spiritual people gradually let go of as they awaken to their true nature. These aren't just habits. They are the parts of life that we often hold on to without realizing they are holding us back. But as you begin to release them, you'll find a new sense of freedom and clarity. Number 1, quitting the need for external validation. From a young age, we are taught to seek approval from the world around us. Society sets up expectations, whether it's through the likes on social media, the need for career recognition, or the pressure to fit into specific societal roles. We are constantly looking outside of ourselves for validation, hoping that others will tell us we're good enough, successful enough, or worthy enough. It's an easy trap to fall into because the world encourages this constant chase for approval. But as you start to grow spiritually, you begin to question this. You realize that true self-worth doesn't come from the opinions of others or from external measures of success. It comes from within, from a place of knowing your own value, independent of what the world thinks or expects from you. This shift is liberating, and slowly you quit the need for external validation, finding peace in being enough as you are. It's like wearing a mask every day, presenting a version of yourself that you think others will approve of. You hide parts of who you truly are, adjusting yourself to fit into what society deems acceptable or worthy. At first, it might feel normal, even necessary, to wear this mask. After all, everyone around you seems to be doing the same thing. But as your spiritual awareness deepens, you start to wonder, why am I wearing this mask? Why am I hiding my true self for the sake of others' approval? You begin to see that this mask is not only unnecessary, but also limiting. It keeps you from fully embracing who you are and from living authentically. The more you awaken, the more you realize that the only approval you really need is your own. And slowly, you start to remove the mask, letting go of the need to be liked or validated by others. In doing so, you step into a space of freedom where you can be yourself without seeking anyone's permission. Take Oprah Winfrey, for example. Early in her career, she faced a lot of rejection and criticism, especially as she struggled to fit into the mold of what television producers thought a talk show host should be. She was told she wasn't the right fit, her style wasn't professional enough, and that she should change to gain wider acceptance. But instead of bending to these external pressures, Oprah chose to be herself. She embraced her own unique way of connecting with people, focusing on authenticity rather than trying to meet others' expectations. Over time, this decision to stay true to herself became the foundation of her success. She realized that her worth wasn't determined by what others thought of her, but by her own belief in herself. This inner shift, from seeking approval to embracing authenticity, allowed her to create a global empire built on her genuine connection with millions. It's a powerful reminder that self-worth comes from within, not from the validation of others. Number 2, letting go of material attachments. In today's world, materialism is often tied to success. The more you own, the bigger your house, the fancier your car, the more expensive your clothes, the more accomplished society considers you to be. People are constantly told that their value is reflected in the things they accumulate. However, as you begin to awaken spiritually, you start to see beyond this mindset. You realize that these material possessions, while nice to have, are fleeting and don't truly define who you are. The joy they bring is often temporary, and chasing after more can leave you feeling empty inside. Spiritually awakened individuals gradually begin to shift their focus from what they have to who they are. They understand that true abundance isn't about possessions, but about inner peace, meaningful connections, and personal growth. Slowly, they let go of the need to accumulate more, recognizing that fulfillment comes from within, not from the things they own. The more possessions you accumulate, the more they begin to own you. Every item you acquire demands something from you. Your time, attention, or even stress. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing that the next purchase will bring more happiness or security. But spiritually awakened individuals begin to see through this illusion. They recognize that the pursuit of more stuff often leads to clutter, both physically and mentally, creating a barrier between them and their inner peace. These things, which were once symbols of success, start to feel like burdens. You begin to realize that your energy is being spent managing, maintaining, and worrying about possessions instead of focusing on what truly matters. By letting go of material attachments, you free yourself from these distractions and open up space for clarity, mindfulness, and the things that nourish your soul. The less you are weighed down by things, the more room you create for genuine experiences and personal growth. Many spiritually awakened individuals turn to minimalism as a way to simplify their lives and detach from the constant need for more. Minimalism isn't just about owning fewer things. It's about choosing what truly adds value to your life and letting go of the rest. By decluttering their physical spaces, they create mental clarity, allowing them to focus on what genuinely matters. It's a philosophy that promotes living with intention, where each item you keep has a purpose, and each decision you make is aligned with your inner values. As they detach from materialism, spiritually awakened people discover that simplicity brings peace, and peace brings fulfillment. This shift from material attachment creates room for something far more rewarding, meaningful experiences and deeper relationships. When you're no longer chasing after possessions, you have the space to nurture connections with loved ones, pursue passions, and engage in experiences that bring joy and personal growth. It's through these moments, not things, that true abundance is found, offering a sense of fulfillment that material wealth could never provide. Number 3, releasing the need for control. The need for control is something many of us cling to without even realizing it. It often feels like the only way to avoid chaos is to carefully manage every detail of our lives. We create plans, set rigid expectations, and believe that if we can just control everything around us, things will go smoothly. But beneath this desire for control is fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of failure, and fear of losing what we think we have. We convince ourselves that controlling every outcome will keep us safe and secure. However, as you begin to awaken spiritually, you start to see that control is, in fact, an illusion. Life is unpredictable, and the more we try to control it, the more stress and resistance we create. Letting go of this need doesn't mean giving up. It means recognizing that not everything is in your hands and trusting the natural flow of life. This shift brings a sense of freedom and peace as you realize that things often work out best when you allow them to unfold naturally. True power doesn't come from rigid control. It comes from surrendering and trusting the flow of the universe. When you try to control everything, it's like trying to force water through a solid wall. It's exhausting and leads to frustration. But when you surrender, it's like becoming water yourself, flowing around obstacles rather than trying to break through them. Water moves with ease, finding its path naturally without resistance, and ultimately reaches its destination. Similarly, when you stop trying to control every outcome, you begin to flow with life rather than fight against it. This doesn't mean giving up or being passive. It means trusting that things will unfold as they are meant to. In that surrender, you find a quiet strength, a deeper connection with the natural rhythms of the universe. Letting go of control doesn't mean chaos. It means embracing the unknown with faith and knowing that whatever comes your way is part of a bigger, divine plan. This shift in mindset frees you from the constant stress of trying to make everything perfect, allowing you to experience life in a much more peaceful and meaningful way. A great example of embracing uncertainty is Steve Jobs. After being famously ousted from Apple, the company he co-founded, Jobs could have tried to control the narrative and force his way back in. Instead, he embraced the uncertainty of his future, allowing life to take its course. During this period, he founded new ventures like Next and Pixar, which would later play pivotal roles in his return to Apple and its resurgence as a tech giant. By letting go of the need to control the outcome, Jobs found unexpected growth both professionally and personally, leading to a legacy far greater than anyone could have imagined. This acceptance of life's flow brings you to the next important aspect of spiritual awakening: relationships. As you begin to release control, you also start to reevaluate the connections in your life, recognizing which ones are nourishing and which are holding you back. Number 4. Abandoning toxic relationships. As you grow spiritually, you become more sensitive to the energy around you, and this includes the energy of the people in your life. You start to notice that some relationships no longer feel supportive or uplifting. Instead, they drain you, holding you back from becoming your best self. These might be friendships, family ties, or even professional connections that, while once meaningful, now seem to limit your growth. Spiritually awakened individuals begin to recognize these toxic relationships for what they are: patterns of negativity, dependency, or control that prevent them from moving forward. As difficult as it may be, letting go of these connections is often necessary for personal peace and continued growth. This doesn't mean there is ill will or anger. Rather, it's about creating space for healthier, more aligned relationships that truly nurture your soul. Toxic relationships aren't always obvious. They're not necessarily filled with loud arguments or clear signs of abuse. In fact, some of the most draining connections can be subtle in their negativity. These relationships may be built on quiet manipulation, constant pessimism, or patterns of behavior that slowly chip away at your sense of peace. It might be the friend who constantly brings you down with their negative outlook, or the family member who subtly undermines your confidence with backhanded comments. At first glance, these relationships might not seem toxic, but over time, they become a weight that holds you back. Spiritually awakened people start to recognize these subtle dynamics, understanding that even small, seemingly harmless forms of negativity can have a big impact on their energy and growth. Letting go of these connections, no matter how subtle the toxicity may be, is an important step toward creating space for more positive, supportive relationships that truly align with your higher self. Distancing yourself from toxic relationships doesn't have to be dramatic or filled with confrontation. The key is to gently create space between yourself and those who drain your energy. Start by setting clear boundaries, whether it's limiting how much time you spend with someone or disengaging from negative conversations. It's important to remember that it's okay to prioritize your own well-being, and doing so doesn't make you selfish. You can distance yourself with kindness and respect without feeling the need to explain or justify your actions. In some cases, you may need to have an honest conversation about how the relationship is affecting you, but in others, simply reducing your interaction over time is enough. The goal isn't to cut people off harshly, but to create room for healthier, more supportive connections. As you begin to release toxic ties, you'll naturally attract relationships that uplift and nourish your spirit. People who encourage your growth, share your values, and respect your boundaries. Once you've freed yourself from these unhealthy dynamics, the next step is to stop compromising your authentic self. It's time to fully embrace who you are, without bending to fit others' expectations. Number 5. Ceasing to compromise your authentic self. So many people go through life conforming to societal expectations, often without even realizing it. From an early age, we're conditioned to fit into certain molds, whether it's acting a certain way, pursuing a specific career, or even holding back parts of our personality to avoid standing out. Over time, this pressure to conform can lead to suppressing who you truly are. hiding your authentic self just to meet the expectations of others. We wear masks, play roles, and do what we think will make us accepted, often at the cost of our own happiness and sense of self. However, as you begin to awaken spiritually, you start to realize the weight of these compromises. You recognize how much of yourself you've been holding back just to fit in or make others comfortable. This realization marks a powerful turning point, where you no longer feel the need to hide who you truly are. Instead, you embrace your uniqueness and step into your authentic self, no longer willing to live according to someone else's rules or expectations. Pretending to be someone you're not doesn't just affect your outward life, it takes a deep psychological and spiritual toll. When you constantly wear a mask and suppress your true self, you begin to lose touch with who you really are. This creates a sense of inner fragmentation, where different parts of your identity are disconnected from each other. You may find yourself feeling restless, anxious, or unfulfilled, even when things seem to be going well on the surface. That's because the more you hide your authentic self, the further you drift from your true nature, creating a divide between who you are and who you pretend to be. This leads to a loss of inner peace, as you are constantly battling the pressure to conform and the desire to be true to yourself. Spiritually, this act of masking prevents growth, as you can't fully embrace your higher purpose while pretending to be someone else. Over time, this disconnect can leave you feeling empty and exhausted, longing for the freedom to live in alignment with your true values and identity. It's only embracing your uniqueness is one of the most empowering steps you can take on your spiritual journey. It's about standing confidently in your truth, even if it means you'll be misunderstood or judged by others. When you stop trying to fit into molds that were never meant for you, you begin to reclaim your power. There's a profound sense of freedom in no longer seeking approval or validation for simply being yourself. Yes, it can be challenging, and there will always be people who don't understand or accept the path you're on. But the beauty of living authentically is that you no longer feel the need to change who you are for the comfort of others. Instead, you stand tall in your truth, embracing every part of your uniqueness, your quirks, your flaws, your strengths. This courage to be yourself not only brings inner peace, but it also attracts the right people and opportunities into your life, those that align with who you really are. In living authentically, you inspire others to do the same, showing that true happiness comes from embracing who you are without apology. A well-known example of someone thriving by embracing their authenticity is Lady Gaga. Early in her career, she faced criticism for her eccentric style and bold persona, with many people telling her she needed to tone down her unique self-expression to be more commercially successful. However, instead of conforming, Lady Gaga doubled down on her individuality. She embraced her creativity, quirks, and boldness, unapologetically being herself, even when it made others uncomfortable. By staying true to who she was, she not only built an iconic career in music, but also became a symbol of self-empowerment for millions around the world. Her authenticity is what ultimately set her apart and allowed her to thrive, proving that success comes when you fully embrace who you are. Once you stop compromising your true self, you begin to let go of many of the fears that once held you back. Among these is one of the deepest fears we all face, the fear of death. When you live authentically, you start to see life from a different perspective, realizing that there is nothing to fear in the natural cycles of life and death. Number 6, quitting the fear of death. As you continue to awaken spiritually, one of the most profound realizations you come to is that death is not the final end. It's a transformation, a natural part of the cycle of existence. While many people spend their lives fearing death, spiritually awakened individuals begin to see it differently. Death is no longer viewed as something to dread, but rather as a doorway into another state of being, a transition from the physical world to something far greater. This understanding brings a deep sense of peace. You realize that your true essence, your soul, transcends the physical body and continues beyond this life. With this spiritual insight, the fear of the unknown fades, replaced by trust in the divine process of life and death. Rather than living in constant fear of the inevitable, you begin to live more fully in the present moment, appreciating the beauty and impermanence of life. This shift in perspective allows you to release the fear of death, freeing yourself to experience life in its fullest, most meaningful expression. Many spiritual traditions and philosophies share the belief that death is not the annihilation of the self, but a return to the source, a homecoming to where we truly belong. In Hinduism, for example, death is seen as a transition in the cycle of samsara, the continuous flow of life, death, and rebirth. The soul, or Atman, is eternal, merely shedding its physical form to move on to its next stage of existence. Similarly, in Buddhism, death is not feared but accepted as part of the natural order, with the soul continuing its journey toward enlightenment. In ancient Egyptian beliefs, death was considered the passage to the afterlife, where the soul would reunite with the divine and experience eternal peace. Likewise, many indigenous cultures view death as a return to nature, where the soul merges with the earth, sky, or cosmos, becoming one with the universe again. Even modern spiritual philosophies often describe death as a return to the source, whether you call it God, the universe, or the divine energy that flows through everything. This idea that we are all connected to something much greater than ourselves helps us understand death not as an end, but as a return to our true infinite nature. When you embrace this perspective, death no longer holds the same weight of fear but becomes a natural, even peaceful transition. When you release the fear of death, you open yourself up to truly living in the present. Instead of worrying about what comes at the end, you begin to appreciate the beauty of each moment, knowing that life's impermanence is what makes it so precious. By letting go of the fear that weighs you down, you can fully embrace the here and now. Every day becomes an opportunity to experience joy, love, growth, and connection. You find peace in the fact that life is constantly changing and evolving, and you no longer feel the need to control or cling to it. In accepting death as a natural part of existence, you free yourself to live more authentically, appreciating the fleeting moments of beauty that life offers. This shift in perspective allows you to savor life with a deeper sense of gratitude, knowing that every moment is a gift and that the end is simply a new beginning. One person who famously spoke about overcoming the fear of death is the author and spiritual teacher Ram Dass. After a near-death experience, he shared how letting go of the fear of dying brought him a profound sense of liberation. He no longer viewed death as something to be afraid of, but as a transition into a different state of being. This acceptance allowed him to live each day with more presence and joy, appreciating the small, simple moments that make life meaningful. He found a new depth of peace, free from the anxiety that once lingered about the unknown. By releasing his fear, he embraced life more fully, savoring the beauty of each experience without the weight of dread holding him back. This liberation from the fear of death is a powerful example of the broader process of spiritual awakening. It's about shedding the fears, limitations, and old patterns that once kept you stuck, opening yourself to a life of greater clarity, purpose, and inner peace. As you continue to awaken, you leave behind not only the fear of death, but all the barriers that prevent you from fully realizing your true self. As we reflect on the journey of spiritual awakening, it becomes clear that it's a process of letting go, of shedding the things that no longer serve your highest good. Spiritually awakened individuals slowly release their need for external validation, recognizing that true self-worth comes from within. They let go of material attachments, understanding that real abundance is found in inner peace and meaningful connections, not in possessions. The illusion of control is surrendered as they learn to trust the flow of life rather than fear the unknown. Toxic relationships are left behind, making room for healthier, soul-nourishing connections. Compromising their authentic selves becomes a thing of the past as they embrace their uniqueness and live in alignment with their truth. Finally, they release the fear of death, finding peace in the understanding that death is a transition, not an end. This journey is about becoming lighter, freer, and more connected to your true self. It's not a destination, but a continual process of growth, one that allows you to live with more clarity, joy, and purpose. Remember, spiritual awakening is not something that happens all at once. It's a gradual, ongoing process. It unfolds at its own pace, unique to each person. There's no single right way to experience it, and there's no rush. Your journey will be different from anyone else's, and that's exactly how it's meant to be. What matters most is that you honor where you are right now, trusting that you're on the path that's right for you. Growth and transformation happen in their own time, and as long as you stay open and true to yourself, you're already awakening. So be patient, embrace the process, and trust that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. As you reflect on your own spiritual journey, take a moment to think about which of these 6 things you've begun to let go of. Have you released the need for external validation? Have you found peace in letting go of control or material attachments? We'd love to hear about your experience, so share your thoughts in the comments below. Your journey might resonate with others on the same path. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and share it with someone who might benefit. Your support helps us continue creating content that inspires and uplifts. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.